Yeah, I mean, I just interviewed Akon, and he turned down a over $100 million offer for his catalog. Over $100 million. $100 million offers?
More than that. I got a huge catalog, bro.
I know this.
Like,
this is why I'm asking.
But that's what I'm saying. If they offer you that kind of money, imagine how much.
What's the biggest offer you've gotten for your catalog?
I ain't trying to give you forgot what generation we in. These little niggas don't care.
Well, but it's more than 100 million.
Well, that'd be all.
It's more than 100 million.
No, hold on. I just turned down.
You turned down 100 million.
I don't know if that's what it's worth. That's just what
But you turned down 100.
I know what it's worth. I believe it's worth billions.
But Akon don't need the money.
And who was it? Future that
Future sold his back catalog for $65 million.
Listen, there's different times in everybody's life, and you can't take it with you. It's like, yeah, it might seem a little interesting that Future's selling it at 40 or 39 or whatever he is, but it's like you're gonna sell it. You're gonna have to sell your catalog, or you're gonna have to sell your company at some point, right? It's like,
maybe not.
What are the odds that you have an heir who you also consider to be the ideal person to take over this business and wants to take it over? Realistically, selling your business at some point is the path for almost everybody.
Well, yeah, World Star Hip Hop got sold after Q died.
Yeah.
I mean, Genius got sold, all to the same company, by the way.
Right.
Is it one of the big mixtape sites? And I talked to this company, and we talked about, how much would they give Vlad, to buy VladTV, and it wasn't a huge amount because they focused on websites, not YouTube channels. But listen, man, at the end of the day, it comes down to, do you need the money? Future went and bought some huge mansion in Miami, like a $16 million mansion. I'm sure with the money that he just got, and he was probably able to just pay the whole thing off, no mortgage. Dope. He may have had his eye on that property, and okay, here's a way to get it.
Future might have it in his head that, let's be real, there's a recession coming. He might think that his catalog is worth more right now than it's going to be worth in the future. And also, I've heard a bunch of artists say that when they sell their catalog, it kind of feels like they're almost like freeing themselves from their prior self, because it's like, now you get to make more money and profit off of that directly. And I can kind of understand having some sort of feeling like that as well. It's like, it's like you have this thing that you're just like carrying around, this weight of this collection that you own. And it might kind of feel good to sort of say goodbye to that at some point. I could see that.
Well, listen, and I think a lot of times, especially in this era, when it comes to content, people undervalue what their content is really worth and the importance of it. Mm-hmm. Some people criticize me because, when my content is being used, re-uploaded and stuff like that, and I don't have permission or relationship with those people, I will file copyright strikes and so forth. And sometimes those strikes have caused people's Instagram pages to get shut down, or Facebook pages to get shut down, or Twitter accounts to get shut down, or whatever else. Number one, if their account got shut down, it wasn't because I did it. It was because I was the last straw on a string of copyright, offenses that they've gotten into. And people are so shocked that I would do this, but it's like, I value my content. When it comes to these companies, these documentary companies that approach me every week to license something, my price is $10,000 minimum. I don't care if you use 2 seconds of it. The price is $10,000.
And you get that?
And I get that. Absolutely.
I got to ask for more. I did one for $2,500 the other day. Fuck.
Right. And the answer is, and people try to get on the phone with me. Oh no, but we're only using this and this is not with our budget. Not my problem. It's not my problem that it's not within your budget. I'm not approaching you selling. This is not like me out there trying to sell my product to these documentaries. You guys are approaching me for something that you need from me that's a unique product to help your project. So if you don't feel it's worth $10,000, that's fine.
Yeah. I'm
going to go about my life. I'm not going to sit there and try to debate with you and people have gotten upset. Like, yo, this is ridiculous. Like, okay, don't pay it. I feel that this is worth this much. If you want to, do multiple clips from different interviews, it's $10,000 for each of those. And I don't care if you're using 5, 10 seconds or 2 minutes or whatever. This is how much it is. You guys will now be able to resell this forever and to make trailers and everything else like that. This is, to me, I value what it is and I see the big picture of what I'm doing. And a lot of people don't care. A lot of people, especially people who have done deals where they don't even really own their content, it's on other YouTube channels. They like when people re-upload it and copy and they go viral and so forth. You don't make any money off that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, I spend millions of dollars a year creating this content. I have a staff of 12 people. Like, my overhead is crazy. This is not me with a camera just having fun. So I value what it is I do. If you don't value it, that's fine. But I'm going to get things taken down and I'm going to have a legal recourse because not only do we spend this money, but we actually copyright every single interview. We send a copy to the copyright office.
Really?
Yes. We have people sign release forms. We send stuff to the copyright office. We are protected and we own this footage. And people having these temper tantrums that their account got taken down because all they did was re-upload a VladTV clip is just, you're not in the same caliber. You don't run a business the same way I do. You're just hustling and you're trying to get some views and you're so shocked when this happens.
I know, because at the end of the day, I think that somebody's YouTube content is just like their body or their property. It's just like their fucking yard in the front of their house.
Right.
Where it's like, listen, you can't use my shit unless I give you permission.
Right.
And if you do, then I'm going to use whatever, abilities I have within the system that I'm dealing with. And anybody who would be so entitled to think that it's their right to use your stuff. Now, fair use is a real thing.
Yes.
And listen, if I don't know you from a can of paint and I want to make a video where I respond to something that you said in a video and I make a 10-minute video and I clip 20 seconds of something that Vlad said in it, that's called fair use. Right. And it could be more than 20 seconds, but there's a line for fair use. And if you feel like you're being sued for something that really was fair use, then you're free to take it to court.
Right.
But in terms of just like the stuff that you're talking about is not stuff that would ever be considered fair use because it's literally just cloning the exact thing that you are putting out there into the world.
Cloning it, covering up, putting your own fucking logo, covering up my logo, sometimes speaking negatively about me in the clip that you've re-uploaded is just like brain dead to me. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Because let me tell you something. Whenever a real company approaches me, TMZ, ESPN, Fox, whoever, they approach me and they ask me for permission to actually use it. And sometimes I'll say yes, sometimes I'll say no. And when I do say yes, I'll say, I'll allow you to use it. I'll allow you to use this much. My logo has to be visible. And you also have to mention the company name in the course of actually describing it.
Right.
No problem. Some people say, well, we want to use more. Well, then you'll have to license it.
Right.
Same thing with images. Like, like our images were on a whole bunch of different websites. I'm saying? They would just use our images. They would take screen caps from our interviews and use them as placeholders and so forth. And I've had to reach out to these sites and say, listen, guys, I'm not a sue happy type of person. I'm not out there filing lawsuits against people. But I will tell you, listen, there's literally hundreds of instances of you guys taking my content and you guys know that this is illegal, right? I'm not going to sue you, but I'm going to give you guys a week to take care of this.
Right.
If you don't want to take care of it, then we can work out a licensing fee for every image. It's up to you. But you're not just going to grab our shit and use our shit and everything else like that. And, because ultimately we're running a legitimate business. We pay taxes, we get release forms, we copyright our footage. We run a standard good business to create content. Just like if you go and re-upload a fucking NBA game, you'll probably get your shit taken down too. But for some reason, hip hop has this interesting kind of sort of bubble where they feel that rules don't apply to them. And you could take it back to original hip hop of how everyone would just sample everything.
And even I'll just take it back to like the blog era, because I remember when I was really into all these hip hop blogs in like 2005, 2006 type era. And I remember like there was a period of time where they would post every new song that came out. And it didn't matter if it was a leak and it didn't matter if it was the new Jay-Z single off his fucking album. They would post it and they would put a link for you to download the file. And that was just my way of life, is I was downloading every fucking song off this.
On Smash.
Exactly.
On Smash was one of the biggest culprits of this.
And then at a certain point, the label starts, getting the WeTransfer links taken down or whatever kind of share link it was. And I remember some of the owners of these blogs going on these rants where they're like, I'm promoting these artists for you. I'm doing so much for you by putting their stuff out there. And I found that to be a somewhat compelling argument at the time, just because my understanding of copyright was so much less. And it really was the wild, wild west on the internet back then, you know, where the idea that the labels wouldn't want their songs to be shared via MP3 or whatever, because there wasn't streaming. You had to like actually physically buy the album on iTunes or buy a physical copy. And that just seems hilarious to me now. Like, and now that I look at it, I'm like, of course, Jay-Z has the right to say how Jay-Z wants his product to be distributed out there in the world. And yes, there's always going to be the Pirate Bay, or there's always going to be somebody uploading the album to Reddit or some shit that you can't get around. There's always going to be somebody who figures out how to get around it. But of course, it's within Jay-Z's right, or Vlad's or mine right, to want to control how our content is put out there into the world.
Right. And always the response is always, yo, I'm helping to promote you.
I don't need it.
I didn't ask for you to help promote me. Yeah. I can imagine if I sent you some stuff and say, hey, please post this, you post it, and then I get it taken down, then it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But I've never done that. Like, you know, you go and upload shit without anyone's permission. Yeah. And it's like, yo, we even say, like, these days, it's like, okay, people come up to us like, yo, my account got flagged or whatever. It's like, once again, $10,000 fee if you want to license this footage that you've used illegally. $10,000. This is what it is. I've made no excuses or qualms about this. You know, had you approached us and said, we want to use your footage and here's how we want to use it, number one, the answer would probably be no in the way that this is being presented, but you guys would get actual terms and so forth. But if you want to go after the fact, after already illegally using it, and now you're so shocked that somehow your account gets affected, then it's like, all right, so let's just go through the licensing part with us, or don't. Right. It doesn't matter to us whether you license it or whether you don't license it. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? And most times it's not even personal. It's like, you know, on Facebook, in the rights manager, we get this long list of everyone that's using our content, along with the number of views they got, and we have the option to either block it or file a copyright strike on it, which takes all of 5 seconds. So it's not like we're out there hunting people down or whatever else. It's all just being displayed for us because Facebook cares about copyright.
Right. And realistically, YouTube's business, their content ID system is actually one of the most powerful things about the business, because YouTube would not even still be here if they hadn't been able to invent that technology.
Even though I'm seeing a lot of shorts, it seems like they're letting shorts fly, because I'm seeing a whole bunch of
but they're
shorts.
Not really monetized yet, so I feel like that's why it's kind of being allowed to
but
fly.
It is being monetized at the top of the year.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, look, it's like that. It's always like that. Like, hip hop in the 80s was sampling everything without clearing shit, you know, and selling sometimes millions of copies of these albums with a bunch of uncleared samples, until Biz Markie got sued by one of the sample holders, and his entire album got pulled off the shelves. I think it was called I Need a Haircut. He was the first rapper to get his entire album completely pulled off the shelves. He had to re-release it with no samples or whatever else. I remember I interviewed Peter Guns, right? And they sampled, you know, in his one big song, you know, Uptown Baby.
Uptown Baby.
We talked about in our interview how they never cleared that sample. I think it was Steely Dan. I'm not sure. But when they caught wind of it, they came in and took 100% of the publishing and the revenue for that song, which is, had they worked it out with them, they could have walked away with maybe 50%, because the vocals are their vocals, right? But since they didn't do that, they lost 100% of that song. You know, and this doesn't happen to hip hop. You know, Bittersweet Symphony, same thing happened. You know, they sampled the Rolling Stones. They came and took the whole fucking song.
The Juice WRLD Lucid Dreams song.
Lucid Dreams, same type of thing, man.
Like 99% or something.
Hip hop's bubble. Oh, you know, I'm doing it for the culture and so forth. Like, you're doing it for business and you're doing it for money.
And it's like, if this first time happening to you, I understand that it could be very surprising.
Yeah.
Like the person that we're kind of talking about right now. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you got to learn to play the game by the rules.
There you go.
And I just want to say one thing. Long live David Russell.
David Russell? Who's that?
It was just a great YouTube channel that was taken before it was really given a chance to shine.
Okay. We'll leave it at that. Adam22.
Appreciate
Always
you.
a pleasure. Till next time.
Much
Peace.
love, Vlad.